I just had to check my armpits to see if they actually looked black. That's my lasering progress. Just want to say, oh, I forgot to introduce myself to the video. Hi guys, it's Summer. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. Muchly appreciated. But on a bright note, I've posted 2 videos today. It's still the same day. I think it's the 13th or the 14th of May. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna do another video. My progress on my armpits. I used to have really black armpits from shaving, and they were really bad. So I now get lasering. You would have seen that in my last video, and that's the progress of them. They're still pretty. They're actually quite light now. Anyway, so I want to do a video. Like I said in my last video, I want to do more talking videos and more opening up videos. So this video is going to be on like various topics. I'm gonna try not make it too long, but if it drags on, it drags on. I'm also gonna stop trying to smoke in my videos so I can actually concentrate on what I'm doing. But I'm gonna be talking about my past addictions, and also I want to talk about my nipple infection that I had due to nipple piercings. Yeah, so let's get into that. I want to start off with my nipple piercing first because that was still new. It got infected again this year, just out of the blue. Probably because I haven't been healthy. I've been smoking bulk cigarettes and um, drinking a lot of alcohol. I don't know if that's the reason or if it's just because the hole didn't close up. But pretty much in 2019, I think it was at the start of the year. Maybe it was even in 2018. I can't quite remember. I got both of my nipples pierced, and that was fine. Then I moved away to New Zealand. I went back to New Zealand to study a beautician course. And pretty much I think it happened before, and I think it happened during actually. Um, okay, so when I moved back to New Zealand, that was in 2019. They kept on falling out. My left side was falling out of my like in my sleep. The piercing would fall out in my sleep, and I would always put the piercing back in, and I did that multiple times, and then I'd take it out, then I'd put the piercing back in, and obviously unhygienic. It was just unhygienic, not clean. Wouldn't clean it, wouldn't sterilize it, wouldn't clean the metal, or wouldn't clean it at all. Um, and obviously the nipples are a real sensitive area on your body. Well, the nipples are my sensitive area. I've just got a sensitive body in general, to be honest. But like, yeah, it was. I kept on putting it back in and out, and eventually it ended up getting infected. I ended up getting like a red bump. It started getting painful, like internally painful, and then I ended up getting a bump. I had to go to the hospital. I got given antibiotics, and then that made this red bump appear. It was just most excruciating pain, and I went back to the hospital and they got like a big syringe needle, and they sucked it out, sucked the pus and blood out. Um, they couldn't get all the pus and blood out, so I had to go under surgery. And then they cut open like a little slit, and then they gave me surgery to extract the rest of the pus and blood out. Um, I had to pack it for the next week. It got packed for me, but talking in terms, I had to pack it. So changed the wick in it, and that was for about a week or 2 weeks. I'm not quite sure. Um, yeah, and then after that was after the packing finished, it was fine for about a year. Then I moved back to Australia, back to Queensland, and this is in 2019. I moved back at the end of the year, so this all happened at the start of 2019. Then I moved back to Australia at the end of, I think it was like midway 2019. My nipple was fine, my boob, my area was fine right up until last year, which was 2021. At the end of 2021, I was working in a pool at the time, so I'm not quite sure if it was the pool like affecting my area. Actually, no. Even up to the start of last year, at the start of last year, it was pussing. sometimes I'd just get a pus ball around where the incision was made, and like pus would just come out, and I'd have to squeeze it. But it was never really painful until at the start of the year, like 2 months ago now. It just inflamed, and it was this big red pus ball lump on my nipple, and it was just so painful. So I went to the doctors, and she squeezed it out, and then there was just this big hole in my nipple. Um, so then I had to get on antibiotics, and I was on antibiotics for about 17 days, 2 weeks, yeah, 14 days. But I think it was actually 17 days. And then that cleared. Now it's starting to get sore again. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to say that. That's bad, touch wood. But if it gets sore again, I'm actually going to have to go to hospital, and they're going to have to drain it out. And that's the thing, they never drained it out. Like I went to the hospital when it happened in 2000 this year, and they never drained it out. They just said, "Oh, we've seen worse. It's fine," shrugging it off as all doctors and nurses do. So, and that's anywhere really. Well, at least it got attended to straight away when it first got infected. So I've got a scan in 2 months, and that's just the ultrasound to see if there's any like collection of pus in there. But really, realistically, what they should have done is drained it anyway. But it's been fine up until like now it's starting to hurt all of a sudden today. And it's probably going to get infected again. I hope not. I hope it's just a 1 day thing, because I just can't keep living my life going back and forth over something that they can't resolve. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd think because they're doctors, they would know what they're doing. They would know how to stop. And that's the thing, they don't, because that's how corrupt. It's sad, but that's just how corrupt things are. But you'd think they'd kind of stop it off and get to the bottom of it instead of just giving you an antibiotic. And don't get me wrong, the antibiotic cleared it up. It did, but it was still pussing until it stopped pussing. And now there's nothing there. There's like nothing there, but it's starting to hurt again. So if I have to go back to the hospital, I'm going to have to go back to the hospital. But I just hope this time, if I do have to go back, they're actually going to give me surgery and get to the bottom of it and get rid of the pus. And when I got my ultrasound done, it said like ongoing infection. Why is it ongoing? That's my question. Like, why should it be ongoing? Like, okay, this is my theory, is that the hole didn't close up the first time I had surgery. There's still like a little slit in my nipple. So I'm thinking that's how it got infected, due to soap, bacteria, scum getting into the little hole, and obviously it was getting into my blood blood thingy, blood things, and it got infected again. So that's my theory on how it got infected again. It just took a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half to get infected again. But yeah, if I have to go back to hospital and get put on antibiotics, it's not resolving the point, because the thing is they should have drained it when it was bad. Like their drainage, and like I got referred from my GP for the hospital to drain it. They did not drain it. They just gave me more antibiotics. Like, is 1 week of antibiotics not enough? Like, so I had to get on a stronger antibiotic, and it was still pussing. And then a few weeks after that, there was still like it was still like a bump. So I'm just thinking like they don't really care, to be honest. They just wait for things to get worse and worse, and then that's that. And obviously, it's your boob area, so you got to be very concerned about that, because it could turn into anything. At the end of the day, I don't want breast cancer or anything. I'm not saying it's cancerous, but it's an infection, and they told me it's an ongoing infection, so it can spread to your gut or whatever. Not nice hearing that, and not nice knowing that it could be an ongoing infection that it can just pop up whenever. So honestly, I might have to get it amputated and just get fake boobs, because I can't keep on going back and forth with this infection. And I'm thinking of like the future here. I can't spend my life going back and forward from the hospital over my boob. due to nipple piercings, which no, I'm never getting again, and I think they're ugly anyway. Not to be rude, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not getting them again because it actually ruined my left boob all over a nipple piercing. And they never even told me the consequences of getting nipple piercings when I got the piercing. So I just think no one knows what they're doing out in the world, and it's honestly ridiculous. Like, it's not helpful. No one's helpful, and like you'd think the piercer would say, just be careful. Okay, so what I got told in beauty school from one of the persons I was studying with is she had her nipple pierced too. She said, if you want to get your nipple pierced like removed, you have to go to a doctor and they got to surgically remove it, something like that. Meanwhile, when I got the piercing done, the piercer never told me that. She got hers, the girl who told me got hers pierced in England, and clearly the piercer in England told her, if you want to get them removed, don't take them out on your own. Go get them surgically or go to a doctor and the doctor can remove it. Like, it's just real half-assed where I live, like, where I'm from. And that's pretty much anywhere. Like, honestly, half-assed crap. No one wants to tell you anything. They just want you to pretty much all die. That's how I see it. Like, they just want to kill you off. Like, I think it's ridiculous and pathetic and not nice. But anyways, majority of the story is not everyone. I think I'm the only person that I know of. Look, people get nipple infections, right? But that's on the surface of the tit, like of the nipple. Mine was like internal. Mine was an internal infection seeping out to the like surface. Mine wasn't where my nipple piercing was like crusty and red. Never had that. Mine was just an actual like internal bacterial infection from the inside out. So that was something that I've had to do in 2022, sort out my nipple, which was just bad, and been on antibiotics, and knowing that it's an ongoing infection. Like I said, eventually I will amputate if I have to amputate my breast and get new breasts, because I'm not here to live a life going back and forth when my boob goes so well just for it to get infected again. Like, what sort of life is that? I'm pretty sure no one's lived that life from a nipple piercing. Like, oh, that's difficult. Okay, so I think that's all I want to say about my nipple piercing. That's 12 minutes already. I also want to talk about my past addictions that I've had and suffered with, and that I can honestly say I overcame like about a year ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago. I think it was a year ago. Hold on, when did I? Because I got admitted at one stage in my life and like I said, I don't want to smoke on camera. It's rude. It's disrespectful. But I do want to smoke at the same time. So pretty much growing up, like was never on drugs, really. Um, I'll be specific about the drugs I was on too. Okay, I'm just gonna put that there and have willpower not to roll that cigarette, and I'll push that to the side so it's out of my camera. So it would have been, how old was I? I was about 14 when 15 maybe, 14 I'd say, when I popped my first ecstasy pill. Popped that, didn't think about it till I was 15, year 11, was going to festivals and stuff with people who I went to school with, irrelevant, but was going to festivals, and that was like, what, once a year? So this was in year 11, once a year. So popped pills, like 2 pills, doesn't matter, one's enough, fucking none's enough, that's all I can say. Don't take them, don't do them, honestly don't. Especially when I had such a long career path that I wanted to do, but I just got sidetracked and got addicted to drugs. It's not funny. I don't mean to laugh. I'm just saying addictions are serious, and even the person who's taking the drug or consuming the drug sometimes, like, I was just unaware of it, really. Yeah, so 2011 came along. I was popping, going to festivals, taking what, 2 ecstasy pills, fingers, whatever you call them. Let's just call them ecstasy pills. That's the most understand my terminology for it, because some people who watch this video might not know what pingers are because they might be from America. I don't think America uses the term pingers, if I'm being honest. I don't think they do. Don't even think UK uses that. So I'm just taking it into consideration from where you guys coming from. So ecstasy pills. And then 2000, I think I did that. What? How many festivals did I go to in that year? I can't even remember. That's the thing. I remember, but I can't briefly. And it wasn't even that long ago. Let's be real. Yeah, 2012. Oh, 2012. 2000 and yeah, year 12 came along. That was 2017. Then I think I started partying more, going to another festival, taking more ecstasy. I was smoking weed that time. I think I started smoking weed. I tried weed when I was 14 or something. And I started smoking it when I was, what, 15? Yeah, I think I started smoking it in year 11, towards the end of year 11. And then more fluently in year 12. And then also, this video is like on my past relationships. I don't think I should have to not speak about it, especially on camera and to you guys. So yeah, 2017 came around, and I was taking more ecstasy, smoking a lot of cones. Yeah, and I was smoking on my own too, and smoking with people who I was around. Sometimes that was on that occasion. More likely smoking on my own. And then I got into a relationship. It was my first relationship, like, not childish relationship, like primary school kiddie relationship. Even though I was still young and in high school, it was a bit, a bit more serious. So got into my first relationship, and then started consuming a lot of bongs, cones. Let's just say marijuana. That's more terminology for it. Started taking ecstasy a lot more frequently, and started taking acid. Um, yep. So that was happening. Smoking weed every day. Didn't realize it was an addiction. Um, and then I had to leave. I decided to leave after I graduated school. So I'm not quite sure when we got into a relationship with each other in my first relationship. I think it would have been mid 2017, I think. Um, yeah. And then I decided after I graduated school, I'm going to go back to Christchurch for a working holiday. So I did that. That was hard, but I did it. Saw my family that I was over there, blah, 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 whatever. That's beside the point. I was smoking weed a little bit, and then I was like, oh no, I think I'm actually going to stop smoking weed. So I stopped smoking weed for about a month, maybe a few weeks. Then I started smoking weed again. Wasn't really a big drinker, and that's something I'll get into later. Wasn't really a big drinker in those times. I was drinking on like maybe once here and there. Like I would barely go out. It's not like I was drinking like every day. Oh, my phone's going flat. But I was drinking just at parties. You know what I mean? So I just saw it as a party thing. I didn't see it as a real, something that I was going to do all the time. So I was more of someone like I was just smoking weed really, and on the odd occasion taking ecstasy, and I took a few trips here and there, acid trips. And then I came back from my working holiday. That's what I saw it as, a working holiday, but it was something that I wanted to do, I guess, at the time. Came back from that. I think I was there for like 3 months in Christchurch. Came back from that, and then yeah, came back to to Australia, and then yeah, what was I doing then? I was taking ecstasy, like again, MDMA or whatever it's called. Like I said, I don't want to smoke because it's going to distract me from what I'm trying to say. I don't even want to drink this water either. Okay, that's it. No more water. I've had enough. And then pretty much, oh, and also what I want to talk about is my past experience with medication. Yes, I got back from Christchurch, moved into a different house, and I was living with my mother, and she was at work when I got back. So I flew into Townsville. Um, I just don't know if I should be saying where I live and stuff on here, because I don't know who's watching this, but like I should be able to. So I flew into not far from where I live, where I'm staying at the moment, and yeah, I started smoking, but I was already doing that, and then yeah, so we moved houses. My first time ever seeing the house that I moved into after I got back from Christchurch, and like I just remember my mum putting like this big photo up. She got like a cheese board ready and like wine, brought like cute little perfume, and I didn't appreciate that. I just went straight to go get on drugs and take ecstasy. So that happened for a while, and then eventually, oh, another festival came up. Here we go, more festivals. And I started to think I was like pregnant and stuff, but I could just slowly tell that it was just actually the thing is I couldn't tell. That's the whole point. I couldn't tell at all. It was just what I was doing. Taking ecstasy, smoking cones every day. Sorry, smoking weed every day. Um, taking acid. Like I didn't see that there was a problem. I didn't know there was a problem. But pretty much this is what happened. And this is all while I was in my first relationship. Pretty much this is all what happened is that I had a friend who I used to went to school with, and she was real close to me at the time. And I got back, and mind you, I lost a lot of weight in Christchurch because it was my first ever relationship, and I was away. We were with each other like every day and every night, like, and I was away, and it was like hard for me to like adjust to that. But like, I was barely eating, like, not because of the drugs, because I was eating quite often even before that, but I was just lovesick. I think that's how I'd put it, like lovesick. So I did lose a lot of weight. I lost heaps of weight. I think it's the slimmest. Been slim a few times in my life, but was barely eating. Like, and when I was eating, it was just like sushi. That's all I really and Subway because that's where I was working. Anyways, so I got back, and the reason why I had to get on medication is because I started thinking like my first partner, boyfriend, was cheating on me. Like he cheated on me when I was away on my working holiday. So I was like coming up with all these things like you cheated on. I don't want to say the exact things because it's quite rude, but you cheated on me. You did this, and this was with someone who I went to school with who was pretty close with me, and I was pretty close. Yeah, vice versa at the time, and yeah, I was pretty much cute, like saying you cheated on me. This happened. You were sleeping around with each other when I was away in New Zealand. You cheated, and it went on for months, and then yeah, I think that's when my mum and my part my first partner realized, oh, I think she's sick. So I think I got on medication, stopped taking it, and then pretty much ended that relationship because I started thinking, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. I need to end it. So I ended the relationship. A few months later, I moved. I think I smoked weed a few times after that and did ecstasy like once. And this was in 2019. So that happened in 2018, I think I ended it. Then I moved in 2000, or maybe I moved in 2018. I'm not sure. No, it was 2019. Then I moved. So ended the relationship. Don't get me wrong, tried getting it back, but I think I did. But I ended up moving, and I had to. I was my like family set out for me to study a beautician course, and because in New Zealand the government did first year free studies, so I did that. Did that. Started my course, like touched weed like a handful of times, not even that much. Ecstasy a handful of times. Um, but I was pretty like off the drugs. But then towards the end of it, I started drinking. I started drinking wine, um, red wine. I would get like a bottle, like I would actually skate down at the bottom of the hill and walk like in the night and get me a bottle of wine and then catch the bus back up the hill. So that's when I started drinking because before that I wasn't really a big drinker. I mean, I remember my first relationship, I did stop smoking weed and he was still smoking weed, but I stopped. And then I was still around him smoking weed, but yeah, whatever. So I kind of wasn't, yeah, smoking that much. And even after I ended it, I wasn't doing that much weed, like wasn't smoking that much weed or drinking that much alcohol or taking that much ecstasy. So I think it was already going like that. But then I started drinking, like I said, when I was doing my beautician course. Um, yeah. And then I pretty much left midway my course. I got to the end of level 3, so at least I completed something. But I was supposed to do level 4 as well, but I left after my level 3. It was just at the start of level 4, so I think we're on a 2 week break. Yeah, was it a 2 week break? Yeah, something like that. And then I just started. It was like a few days into my level 4, and then I just messaged my mum. Was like, "Look, I'm coming back. I can't do this anymore. It's too much for me." So I came back, and yeah, then I got on drugs again. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was semi taking drugs when I was doing my beautician course. Just wasn't that reliant, and took ecstasy again. Wasn't really smoking weed. No, I wasn't smoking weed because I stopped smoking weed. Yeah, I stopped smoking weed when I was doing my beautician course. So I wasn't even smoking weed then, or taking ecstasy really. Took it like what, 4 times, maybe 5 times. Yeah, and that was towards the start. Oh, then I took it once when I was out at a party. Um, and then I think I left not long after. And then came back here, and I think my whole mindset was just wanting to take that to see what it would be like. So, anyways, came back here and I was taking it, and I actually enjoyed being back. Like, no one knew I was back. It was good. I got to see my mum again, um, who I missed a lot when I was over there studying my beautician course. Um, and then what happened after that? I'm just trying to think now. Because when did I really start drinking? That's what I want to know. When did I start heavily drinking? And this is still in 2019. So that's like, what, 3 years ago? 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 2 years ago, 2 and a bit years ago. Yeah, then I think a few months later, things went down. Oh, yeah. It was like a few weeks later. Then I ended up getting kicked out. And then I met these people through someone who I met through my first relationship. That's how I met her. I saw her uptown one night because I went out uptown and I saw her up there. And then we started hanging out and yeah, recreationally taking. Well, she wasn't, I was, but maybe I wasn't, I don't know. But like, yeah, started taking more ecstasy. Then I went to cocaine, and then I got a job. I got a job at the meatworks, and then all I was thinking about this whole time was, oh, because I nearly like I passed out one time. Like I drank so much, like heaps, took heaps of ecstasy or MDMA, whatever you call it. and then I smoked a cone, and because I stopped smoking cones, I had no idea what hit me. So like I remember my mum picked me up from this house, and my jaw was just like munted, and I was just so slow and so faded and just gone skis. And that was from like all the alcohol, the MDMA, and the cone, especially since I stopped smoking cones. And I had to stay in the car for like 2 hours because we dropped her friend off to the bus stop so she could get back to work. And I was just like, oh, munted. I don't think I've ever been that munted before. Honestly, like it was the worst. I can't even explain it. Like I have never, yeah, I don't think I've ever been that just munted, honestly. And then I get home, we get back, and it's like 5:30 in the morning. So this is from like 3 o'clock to 5:30. Was waiting in the car, needed to drink water, needed to go to sleep, but we were waiting in the car, and I was just, oh, my surroundings were just going. Got back home, and then I was like, oh, I need to go to hospital, like I need to get pumped out or something. And then I just remember saying, made it through the door. Everything's real slow in my head at this point, like next level slow. Got in the door, and I remember sitting on like the stool, and then I just fall back. And then I was saying like I need to go to hospital, I need to get pumped out. But I'm sitting on the stool and I just fall back and everything's just black. I don't like leading up to that I was saying like I'm just getting comfortable. I need to get comfortable. Because I started laying on the ground, that's what I did. And my mum was like, what are you doing? And I was like, getting comfortable, getting comfortable. And then I think I got up and I just fell straight back. And then all of a sudden I woke up and I just rushed. I was like, oh, I'm going to bed. I'm going to go sleep in your bed. And I rushed up and I went to go sleep in her bed. And then I was like, nah. I had a little bit left and I was like, nah. So someone asked me, do you have any MD? So I just gave that away. But then after that, I started taking it again a few weeks later because it was my 19th birthday. And then, yeah, like I said, I got my first job being back here. Was that my first job? Yes, it was. And that was at the Meatworks. And then all of a sudden, I started thinking about ice like crack. And I'm like, oh. And this is while I'm working, just thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, I'm drinking with like people who I was drinking with at the time, like whatever. And I just say, I want to swirl or whatever the heck I said. I was like, I just said, do you have any like that? No idea how I even came up to know what even that was because I had never seen it before in my life. Have I? Oh, actually, I did. Saw it once in 2018. Um, the first person I was with, one of his mates was smoking it in the back of the car. But still, I had forgot about that. And then I'm just like, yeah, pulling those things out. Yeah, so then I smoke crack. And this is while I'm kicked out of home. Yeah, I was kicked out of home. But the first time I did it, wasn't actually at my home, but the second time it was. And I just remember being munted. Like, I don't think I've like a whole nother different level munted though. Like, munted. Yeah. And then I started smoking it quite often. Not even often, but dabbled around with it a few times. And I think that went on for like a year and 2019 to 2000 and yeah, a year to the end of 2020 till I first got admitted into hospital because the things I was posting, like I was saying, oh, then I got into a second relationship. That's what I also didn't mention. And it was someone who I met ages ago. And then when I got back to where to here, was like messaging me. And yeah, then I started hanging around him. But I had already smoked crack before I started hanging around him. Maybe did I? Oh, see now I don't know. Yeah. And then I got kicked out, and like I said, the person who I was hanging around with at the time, she knew these people, and then I ended up staying with them for a little while. And yeah, was taking MDMA again and smoking ice and smoking cones and drinking alcohol. Yep. So that was my second relationship, and then I had to get put into the mental ward. So I was just, I don't even think I was drinking that much though, but got put in the mental ward, and it was the things I was posting on social media. Like I had about 1,000 people on Facebook, over 1,000, and then I had about 1,100 people on Instagram. The majority of them are the people who I've met before, you know. And I was posting videos of me with like knives, like saying, "You want to bully me? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. You think I'm joking?" I could not go out in public because I was so angry. Like I remember this. Like I thought everyone was taking the piss out of me. Like and it would just make me like angry, like a whole nother level of angry. Like I was going off at everyone, like arguing, starting fights, like yeah, I now I can remember walking the streets on my own with like all dressed in red, like making all these Facebook posts, and like people were telling me to go to rehab. Well, one person told me to go to rehab, but I was posting like all the time. Don't get me wrong, I still do that now, but it's the fact that I was actually it was a bit different then. Like, oh, and that's what I was gonna say. My second, uh, my second boyfriend. Then I started saying he's like my twin brother, and then I started thinking he was sleeping with my mum, and that's how I got put in the mental ward. I think. Then I punched my mum. Like, oh, one thing led into another. Yes, I was saying on social media he's like my twin brother, like all of that sort of stuff. Like, and I thought it was a different culture. Like, I was thinking all these things. It's not funny, but and I don't mean to laugh, but I was thinking like I'm this, I'm that. I don't want to label it down because it's quite rude. I don't want to be real base to like saying that because it is very rude and disrespectful. And then yeah, I thought I was all these cultures. Like I'm not even joking, and I actually like vouched that I was. Yeah, and then it's not funny. I'm trying not to laugh. No, it actually isn't funny. Um, yeah, and then my mum just had enough of me, and she was like calling the police and ambulance on me all the time. I don't need a drink of water. I don't know why I drank that. She was calling the police and ambulance on me all the time, and like we were arguing all the time. But what really, yeah. Oh, and that's what I was doing on Instagram, saying that she like dropped me on my head as a baby, like over and over again, put me in a washing, drying machine. Like I was saying all this stuff on Instagram to like all the people who were following me. And that's what I was saying. I thought my second boyfriend, I thought he got murdered. I know it's bad to talk about, but I think I should just talk about it. I was genuinely telling people he got murdered by, I don't want to say it, and I'm not gonna laugh, but I was actually saying he's dead. Someone's cloned him because I met him when I was like 13, turning 14. I'm just gonna say 13 because like, that's what I remember it as. And I must have thought at the time when I was saying that someone killed him that when I first met him he had brown eyes, and then all of a sudden he had blue eyes. So clearly I couldn't remember, but yeah, I was literally just saying and telling people someone's actually murdered him and he's got a twin brother and he's cloning the real person. Like I was just saying all that stuff. So I ended up getting put in the mental ward. And I got put in the worst bit of the mental ward. And then they started giving me medication. And I was there back and forth for a while, for like 2 months. Yeah, I remember one thing like Oh, I was on too much medication, then I started hallucinating. In the worst part of the mental hospital, like you can't have anything in there, like the worst part ever. And I was in my room. I was in my room in the bed where I was staying, like sleeping, and all of a sudden I get out and there's someone in there that I had met, and then I get out of my room and I'm pretty sure I was walking towards his room. I don't recall doing like I remember, but at the time I had no idea what I was doing. So like I'm walking towards his room. The nurses come out and be like, "What are you doing? You're not allowed to go in there." I'm pretty sure I'm about to go into his room. Like I said, I can't recall what I was doing, but looking back, I remember. And the nurses said, "You can't go in there." So they gave me another tablet, and then they put me in this in like this back room, blocked off from the thing, and I had to sleep in there. And I was like actually hallucinating. Like I'm pretty sure I was like half awake, half asleep, sort of thing, like talking to myself. And I thought I was going to a party. Like I thought, and it's funny because it's not funny, but like in my head, it was my ex boyfriend and one of his mates. Like they're taking me to a party. So they're like, oh, it was whack. Like, yeah, I thought I was going to a party and I was getting myself ready for a party. Yeah. Then I ended up waking up. So I got put in the mental ward and I was there for about, that was like the third time I got put in there, I think. But the first time I actually don't remember anything about it. Oh, yes, I do. I got taken to hospital and I was in the room and I just started talking out loud to myself. Um, and then they just admitted me into the hospital. Then I had to take all my jewelry off, go through the worst part of the hospital. I think I was there for like 2 weeks, maybe even longer, a month. Then I got out of there, went somewhere else. I think I went back home there then. Yeah, and I was on medication for about a year. Oh, 6 months, nearly a year. And that was the Topamax, Depot, and yeah, that's only what I was on. But I wasn't working, so I was just staying at home, posting photos and stuff. Then I ended up removing people off my social media, and then I got banned from my Instagram for like 3 months. And then when I logged back into it, it was still there, and I couldn't even handle looking at all my posts, so I had to delete my Instagram. So I was like, nah, I can't go. I was like, is that how I was? Like, not quite sure if that was a medication talking, but I was like, is that what I was doing? No, but I actually couldn't look back at my posts. So I deleted my Instagram. But honestly, I should have scrolled down and got some photos at least. But deleted my Instagram. Then I was just on Facebook. Um, yeah, and there was times like I was sniffing paint just to get high, try and get a high. And then I'd paint my whole legs. I painted my whole shoes, like all white. Yeah, it's not a good place to be, the hospital. It's cold in there. The bed's uncomfortable. I'm gonna light my smoke now. But like, yeah, it's rude smoking that, so I'm gonna put that down until I finish talking. Oh, this video's gone too long. I didn't realize it's gone too long. Look, I'm gonna have to split this up in sections. I'll be back with another video.